You've written the same SQL query 4 times already. Sure, the columns are the same, but the where clause is different. One filter for Germany, one filter for last 30 days, one had campaign name like Q2, because marketing asked, and one, well, you are not even sure who asked for that query. It's all the same logic underneath. You feel it every time you do that again and again, but now it lives in 4 different places, each one in its own dashboard, report, SQL snippet floating in Slack, and now someone pings you, hey, why doesn't this match the number from the last week report? Sounds familiar, right? Well, you go back and compare queries and realize, yeah, you built all of them, but even you cannot tell which one is the right anymore. Look, the problem isn't your SQL. You did your work and you did it great. The problem is you are writing the same logic again and again with tiny tweaks, and now you're the only one stuck maintaining all of it. And when someone needs a change, you're not just fixing one thing. You're chasing 4 copies in 4 different places. That's not analysis. That's duct tape. And that's what we are going to fix in this lesson number 2 from the mini course called From Bottleneck to Data Hero: How Analysts Can Deliver Self-Service Reporting Without Losing Control. By the way, I didn't have a chance to say it yet, but my name is Yevgen, and welcome to OWOX BI, where we are doing all things to help data analysts. So, do me a quick favor, hit that subscribe button and enable notifications so you don't miss anything we create here for you. Now, I stop talking and let's get right into the topic. So, what actually happens when you don't have structure, the library, the system, when you do not organize your SQLs into data marts? Basically, you end up building a new version of the same report every single time someone asks for a new filter, a new metric, a new column, and chances are you start from scratch. It's fast in moment. You're great at SQL, right? But every copy adds risk. Now you've got 5 versions of the same logic. Each one slightly different, each one hard-coded, each one answering a slightly different question, but all of them say revenue by campaign. And here's what that leads to. 1. Conflicting numbers. 2. Misaligned metrics. 3. Arguments in Slack or whatever system you use about whose dashboard is correct. And number 4. People stop trusting the data. Slowly. You lose your source of truth, and when that happens, business users stop trusting you. And it gets worse. Every new request, it doesn't build on the past work, it ignores it. You are starting from scratch every single time, chasing fragments of your own queries across sheets, dashboards duplicating from dashboards, Slack threads, Jira, Notion, views in the warehouses, anywhere else. Eventually, even you do not remember which query is the right one anymore, because you cannot. And let's be honest, once you lose confidence in your own work, it's hard to defend it. It's hard to push back, it's hard to scale anything because everything is fragile. Now, imagine the opposite. You've got a library of reusable version SQL queries. They live in one place. They are organized, named, and tested. You can update them once, and every report built on top of them benefits. Business users do not need new logic. They just need a few filters by the fields inside the report. A date, a country, a campaign, or actually a few of the parameters that you can implement inside the query. Instead of giving away raw SQL, you are giving them access to a controlled data mart, something built for exploration, not destruction. They do not need your SQL, but they need a way to retrieve the results of your work. That's not babysitting reports anymore. That's about building the system. That's being the source of clarity, not just the source of queries. In just a minute or so, I'll show you exactly how to create that system, even if you are the only analyst in the company. Because if you are the only one, you really need a system. And by having a system, I mean the SQL library. So what's that? What's that in my opinion? A SQL library is a collection of queries or a collection of data marts, a data mart layer. Call it whatever you want. But what it really is your internal toolkit, your reusable code base, your versioned logic. It's not just a folder full of saved SQL snippets. It's the foundation of scalable and reliable reporting, because the truth is, SQL isn't the problem. The problem is the way most teams manage it, or don't manage. And that is exactly how we end up where you are right now. 1. Drawing in ad hoc queries. 2. Answering the same questions with slightly different code. 3. Babysitting logic that was never meant to be scaled. And now imagine this instead. You've got a SQL library. It's organized. Everything is named properly. And most importantly, it answers real business questions. Each query includes a clear name that reflects what it does, a description, plus what business question it answers, the expected output schema with field types, business-friendly names, and descriptions, dynamic parameters so you or your stakeholders can filter by things like date, campaign, origin, and most crucially, it tracks who is using that data mart, how, and when. Now, instead of rewriting your logic every time, you've got a library of trusted answers. Want revenue by campaign? Cool, that's report campaign performance v1 data mart. Need to slice it by country or filter or date range? Well, that's built into the query as a parameter already. Business users want to check it for Q2 only? They don't need your SQL, they just use the fields and filters that you have already structured. This is how you stop the sprawl. This is how you own the system, and when something breaks, you do not have to go searching. You know which query it is, you know who touched it, and you fix it once, and every report that you used, built on that query, is instantly updated. That's what structure gives you. That's what SQL Library does. It's your single source of truth, not just for data, but for your logic. It's the one place where your expertise lives, versioned, controlled, and protected. It's not glamorous, no, but you don't need it to be, right? But it's what separates firefighter mode from actual data architecture. So, what does it look like in practice? Let's break it down. If your SQL library is the system, then this is how you structure it. Not just a flat folder with final queries. I would encourage you to do a proper layered approach. The one that scales, the one that actually makes sense when you open it a month later, or when another analyst opens it next year. So it should have a few very important layers. First, its base layer. These are your raw views, say data source type objects. So it's one-to-one mapping with your source tables. No logic behind it except for this. No transformations here. Think of something like base Facebook ads impressions, or base Facebook ads creatives, or VW base Shopify orders. They mirror what's inside the data warehouse, but with a bit cleaner names, consistent columns, and stable schemas. And most likely, you don't need to have all of the fields available from the warehouse for reporting. This is your foundational layer. Touch it as little as possible. And hint, you don't necessarily need to update that on a schedule. It's just SQL to extract what's needed in the time that's needed. Next, the logic layer. This is where your brain goes. Here is where you write your joins, your calculations, your matrix definitions, your cleaned up field names. For example, logic blended ad spend, or logic acquisition channels, or logic ads, or logic website sessions, logic customers, logic acquisition channels. These views, or data marts, apply structure to house. They standardize logic across sources, across tables inside the warehouse. That's where you add sense to those data. Here you map relationship with those modeled objects. And by the way, we have plenty of videos available about data modeling specifically for reporting on this channel. So don't forget to check it out. I'll leave a link in the description to this video and I'll add it somewhere right here. And finally, reporting layer. This is what the business sees and nothing else. They don't see anything from before. These are the data marts behind the reports and dashboards. They usually match a specific report or business question. Think report paid versus organic, report funnel by channel, or report subscription health. You name it. That's your business. These data marts are filter-ready, business-friendly, and scoped for use. They do not expose your core logic. They give people what they need safely under your control. And you keep your SQL and your logic. And those are the ones that you should be sharing with the specific business users who need to access them. So why does this structure matter? Because now your SQLs become reusable across teams. Instead of being copied and pasted into 6 dashboards, they are safe to share because the logic layer is protected. They are easy to debug because you know where the logic lives. They are version controlled, so if something breaks, you just roll back. And yeah, that's even documented. But that part is optional. You'll still know what's going on even if you don't write a novel in the comments. This is what maturity looks like. Not more dashboards, not more charts, not more SQLs, but a SQL library structured in the way that makes sense. Look, you may reasonably ask, and how does this actually protect me? Well, let me tell you. Here's the real win. When you structure your SQL library the right way, exactly the way I shared with you, or by using another system, when you separate the logic layer, the semantic layer from your reporting itself, when you stop scattering queries across dashboards, Jira, email, and Slack threads, you're not just being tidy. You're protecting yourself. And let's go back to the moment from lesson 1. You get a Slack ping. Why does this number not match? Normally, that's a panic moment. You dig through 3 dashboards, 5 tabs, 2 versions of the query, but now you know exactly where the logic lives. It's in Logic Ads Blended at Spend V2 data mart. And you know that every report built on top of it is using exactly the same version. Exactly the same, always. So when you need to update something, you just do it once in the Logic data mart. And every downstream report reflects that change automatically. No hunting, no copy-pasting across dozens of dashboards and multiple different tools. Just clean, confident propagation of your small fix. And let's talk about access. You don't need to give away your SQL. You don't need to explain to anyone the join conditions or define blended cost per click for the 8th time. You just give access to the reporting layer, the clean data mart, based on your logic, ready to explore, safe to retrieve. Your logic is protected underneath. And that changes how people see you. You're no longer the support guy for broken filters. You're the person who built the system. You created the structure. You made the logic reusable. You set the standard. And now, all the business users trust you. You've got from Bottleneck to Backbone, from CSV or SQL monkey to a system architect, while staying a data analyst. That's the beauty of it. Now, I know this might feel like a lot for one video. I feel it already. But look, I love to move fast. And I know you don't want to wait either. So, to make things easier, I've put together a simple SQL library starter checklist just for you. You can download it using the link somewhere below, above, around this video. It will walk you exactly how to structure those queries, how to name them, what metadata to include, which layers to build, and how to start versioning your logic, not just queries. This isn't about building a perfect system on day 1, but it's really easy to start. Reuse what you already have. And it's about taking the first step away from house. So, grab the checklist right now. Start creating your own SQL library. No rush, no pressure, just build it one query at a time. And in the next lesson, we'll take that even further. I'll show you how to enable business users with self-service reports without opening the floodgates or giving up control. Because control isn't about saying no. It's about building something that works by your rules, even when you are not online. Because yes, you can enable self-service analytics, and you can make your work scalable and still protect everything that you have built. Until then, download the checklist, subscribe to this OWOX Bay YouTube channel so you don't miss what's next, and please drop a comment down below. What's your current SQL library setup? And what's the messiest thing you have inherited? I'll see you in the next lesson. It should be already available. Bye.